Now, that's not the only news out of the West. Gas giant Woodside Petroleum today reported record profits of $1.575 billion US, with its Northwest Shelf project still a magic pudding, and 3 other huge projects in the pipeline: Pluto, Sunrise and Browse. Chief Executive Don Voelte has already announced his intention to hand over the reins later this year, after 7 years driving growth at Woodside. But I found him still very much in the driving seat when I spoke to him earlier. Don Voelte, welcome to the programme.
Thank you, Tiki.
Well, talk about going out on a high. You've got a record profit, the highest dividend payout, largely due, I gather, to higher sales prices.
Well, a lot of it was to do with some of the renegotiated commodity prices. That's true. We've been trying to keep expenses in control. We're building our business. I think with Pluto coming on stream, it'll be the big excitement for this company. Well,
you had a very powerful analyst briefing this morning that I listened into. You mentioned the fall in production. You've also got the cyclone season that you're in the middle of. Is that going to impact on your outlook?
Well, those are short-term things, and it doesn't cause production loss. It's just a delay in production. It's deferred. So we tried to get this back. It's been an extremely eventful cyclone and low-pressure season for us. Yeah, we'll get that back. It's over time, but we might, have a bit of a hole for a few weeks in production.
Pluto was obviously a big focus this morning. Do you plan to still be in the chair when it comes on stream in August?
Well, I hope so. What I'm saying, hope so, is production coming on stream in August. We certainly are doing everything we can to make sure that happens. It's a good target for us. Things that we've been able to manage ourselves, it's going quite well for August. What hasn't been going so well is things we can't control, like the weather.
The one wild card, of course, is the holding of 25% in Woodside that Shell has. They've reduced it to that level. They're now down to 2 directors on the board. And there are still murmurs about BHP Billiton being interested in that stake.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the question is there, except that that's all true. The 24% shareholding that Shell has. We've always said that we are absolutely with them, directionally correct in reducing their shareholding, because we're an independent company now, and we don't take and need a lot of help. And I would just say that they compete with us, so it's awkward.
But how would BHP, being a significant shareholder like that, change the game, particularly in the Northwest?
I got to tell you, this has been around for the last 4 or 5 years. We've really made our company something. I hear people, think that the shares prices are high. I don't think they're high enough. I think we're quite undervalued right now, personally.
Let's go to the other work ahead. Sunrise, is it fair to say that development has pretty much stalled because of the dispute with the East Timorese government now?
Well, I think we've got to wait and watch the Australian government and Timor-Leste have some conversations. We've done everything as a joint venture, and you can tick it right down the list of the requirements of the treaty that was signed between the 2 companies. We've followed the prescription exactly, and we've gotten to the answer. We think it's a great answer. It's the most economic and the most value to all 3 parties, that being Timor-Leste, Australia, and the joint venture who's putting the money up for it. So let me just say,
there's a big dollop of politics in all of this, isn't there?
Yeah, and I'll just say that we do have a patience level here, and after the governments get together, if they can't work it out, then I'm obligated to try and monetize this facility, this reservoir, for our shareholders. And don't run to the conclusion I'm going to sell it, but I do think there are other options available for us to get the project moving and work it. So not a threat, but just basically normal course of business. If we run into a little bit of a brick wall here and we can't get around it or go through it, well, we'll go over it.
And Don Voelte, you exited Libya last year, but what's your view on the Middle East unrest and what that's likely to do to energy prices and security?
Well, I don't ever predict energy prices, but I think what you see is what you're going to get for a while. We certainly don't plan on $100 oil prices in our forecast or projections, but we'll take them when we can get them. Actually, we don't like too high of oil price. It actually works against our company in a lot of respects because it cuts demand.
And finally, you said that this might be your last results. I see the Prime Minister last week has come out and talked about a fixed price for carbon for next year. Of course, we've got the Greens controlling the Senate from July. What is your view about this? Do you feel that the compensation that industry might get for this is under threat?
I'm now a member of the government roundtable on carbon pricing, so I've been very involved. Look, I don't think Woodside is against anything that would be a government widespread appeal to do something about the environment. I think, number one, it's important to really do something that impacts the environment, that it's not just a revenue scheme. I think, number two, is it's important to not get too far out in front of other countries before you do. What I'm really worried about is areas about the East Coast with the coal-fired plants and what it might mean to that, and also for our business and other businesses like wine, like tourism, like education, what you call the trade-exposed emissions intensity impacted companies. That the big fear of everybody is unintended consequences. I don't think anybody's against the positioning of the government. It's just how do you implement it and how do you execute it.
Don Voelte, I hope we get a chance to talk to you before you do take off for the States, but thank you so much for talking to us this time.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it.